When Hogan's Heroes premiered in 1965, it sparked immediate controversy. A comedy set in a Nazi POW camp seemed impossible, even offensive. Yet for 6 seasons, audiences embraced this audacious sitcom where prisoners outsmarted their captors weekly. Behind Colonel Klink's bumbling facade and Sergeant Schultz's catchphrase, a darker reality existed. The show's cheerful tunnels concealed painful histories, tragic futures, and creative battles that made the show influential and successful, proving that even the brightest comedy can cast the longest shadows. Fact number 10. The strange truth behind why no prisoner ever actually escaped Stalag 13. Throughout Hogan's Heroes' 6-season run, viewers watched Colonel Hogan and his men execute countless missions, blow up ammunition depots, rescue Allied agents, and sabotage Nazi operations. Yet despite all their underground tunnel systems and elaborate schemes, Hogan and his team never actually escaped. This wasn't an oversight, but a brilliant narrative choice. The show's premise centered on using Stalag 13 as a base of operations for espionage and sabotage against Nazi Germany. Hogan deliberately kept his men imprisoned to maintain their cover and continue their vital work. Colonel Klink proudly boasted of his perfect no-escape record, completely unaware that Hogan was protecting it. The prisoners needed Klink to look competent, so German high command wouldn't replace him with someone more observant. This created a unique, symbiotic relationship where both sides benefited from maintaining the illusion. When other prisoners tried to escape, Hogan would sabotage their attempts to preserve the operation. The show treated captivity not as something to escape from, but as the perfect cover for winning the war from inside enemy territory. Fact number 9. The non-negotiable contract clause that protected the show's moral compass. Werner Klemperer accepted the role of Colonel Klink only after demanding a strict condition be written into his contract. Klink had to be portrayed as a bumbling fool, who could never succeed in any of his schemes or come out looking heroic. This wasn't about ego or creative control. Klemperer was the son of famed conductor Otto Klemperer, and his family had fled Nazi Germany in 1933. They arrived in the United States in 1935, when Werner was just 15 years old. He later served in the United States Army during World War II, fighting against the very regime he would mock on screen. For Klemperer, playing a Nazi officer carried deep personal weight. His contractual safeguard ensured that every episode reinforced a clear message. The Nazis were incompetent, their ideology foolish, and their defeat inevitable. This commitment earned him 2 Emmy Awards in 1968 and 1969 for his masterful portrayal. The clause transformed what could have been uncomfortable comedy into pointed satire. It allowed Klemperer to ridicule the very forces that had driven his family from their homeland. Fact number 8. The painful truth behind why so many Nazis were played by Jewish survivors. The core cast of German characters in Hogan's Heroes included Werner Klemperer as Colonel Klink, John Banner as Sergeant Schultz, Leon Askin as General Burkhalter, and Howard Kane as Major Hochstetter. All 4 actors were Jewish. Their personal histories made their roles deeply ironic. Klemperer's family fled Nazi Germany in 1933, when he was 13. Banner, an Austrian Jew who was performing in Switzerland when Germany annexed Austria in 1938, emigrated to the United States as he could not return to his homeland. Askin's parents were transported to Theresienstadt, then murdered in the Treblinka extermination camp. But the most haunting story belonged to Robert Clary, who played Corporal LeBeau. Born in Paris in 1926, as the youngest of 14 children, Clary was deported to Nazi concentration camps in 1942. He was tattooed with identification number A5714 on his left forearm and sent to Buchenwald. 12 members of his immediate family perished in the Holocaust, most sent to Auschwitz. Clary was the only one of those deported to survive. These actors chose to ridicule Nazis in a traditional Jewish style, making their oppressors absurd. It was their dead relatives' partial victory, a raised middle finger from the grave to the Nazis. Fact number 7. The dark murder mystery that forever haunted Hogan's Heroes' legacy. Bob Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Scottsdale, Arizona apartment on June 29, 1978, while on tour for a dinner theater production of Beginner's Luck. When police arrived, they found the room covered in blood from wall to ceiling. Crane had been bludgeoned to death while he slept. An electrical cord had been tied around his neck. The case remains one of the top unsolved murders in American history. Suspicion immediately focused on John Henry Carpenter, a video equipment salesman and Crane's close friend. Blood matching Crane's type B blood type was discovered in Carpenter's rental car one day after the murder. Police theorized Carpenter killed Crane because the actor was ending their friendship. In 1994, Carpenter was tried for the murder, but was acquitted when DNA tests proved inconclusive. However, advanced DNA testing in 2016 revealed the blood in Carpenter's car was not from Crane, further deepening the mystery. Carpenter maintained his innocence until his death in 1998. The brutal murder shattered Crane's wholesome Colonel Hogan image, revealing a secret life that shocked fans and tarnished the show's lighthearted legacy forever. Fact number 6. The miserable filming conditions hidden behind Stalag 13's Perpetual winter. Production planners decided early that every episode would be set in winter, with snow on the ground and frost on windows. This prevented continuity problems and allowed episodes to air in any order. The show filmed at the 40 Acres lot in Culver City, California, where The Andy Griffith Show and Gone with the Wind were also filmed. But there was a brutal catch. Since most filming occurred during summer, cast members wore heavy coats and pretended to be cold, even when temperatures exceeded 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Starting in the 4th season, white paint covered building tops and ground to create the snowy effect. During earlier seasons, salt was used on rooftops. Artificial snow often clung to clothing and bare skin. Unlike real snow, which would have melted, the Perpetual winter setting served another purpose beyond continuity. It made prison life appear more dire and bleak. And whenever Klink or Schultz faced threats of being sent to the Russian front, the existing winter conditions amplified that menace. The actors suffered physically to maintain an illusion. That made storytelling easier, and prison life feel harsher to audiences watching from air-conditioned living rooms. Fact number 5. The real reason Ivan Dixon walked away from Stalag 13 after 5 seasons. Ivan Dixon played Staff Sergeant James Kinchlow from 1965 to 1970, serving as the communications specialist, German translator, and Hogan's second-in-command. He was the only original cast member who did not stay for the entire series run. In 1970, Dixon wanted to focus on directing, left Hogan's Heroes, and Kenneth Washington was hired to replace him as Sergeant Richard Baker. But the departure ran deeper than career ambitions. Dixon reportedly left because he felt underutilized and considered other acting roles more definitive of his career. Active in the civil rights movement, having served as president of Negro Actors for Action, he steadfastly refused to play roles that he felt were stereotypical. After leaving, Dixon transitioned successfully into directing. From 1970 to 1993, he worked primarily as a television director on series like The Waltons, The Rockford Files, The Bionic Woman, Magnum P.I., and The A-Team. No mention was made on screen of Kinchlow's departure from Stalag 13. The show simply continued without explanation, treating his absence as if he had never existed at all. Fact number 4. The shocking reality behind the fictional Stalag 13 that few viewers knew existed. The setting of Hogan's Heroes was the fictional Luftstalag 13, a prisoner of war camp for captured Allied airmen. Like the historical Stalag 13C, it is located just outside a town called Hammelburg. What most viewers never realized was that a real Stalag 13 actually existed during World War II. The Hammelburg POW camp was named Stalag 13, just as in the TV series. The Hammelburg base has been a training area for the German army going back to 1893. And continues to this day. Stalag 13, or Stalag 13C, was a POW camp near the town of Hammelburg during World War II, about 50 miles east of Frankfurt. Even more remarkable, there was a real prisoner named Robert Hogan. Lieutenant Robert Hogan was an American bomber pilot shot down in January 1945 over Yugoslavia and sent eventually to the Stalag 13 camp outside of Nuremberg, the Auflag 13 camp. The real Robert Hogan got to meet Bob Crane of Hogan's Heroes in 1966. Life imitated art in eerie ways. The prisoners maintained a secret radio, just as Hogan's Heroes did. The coincidences between fiction and reality made the show feel unexpectedly authentic. To those who knew the truth. Fact number 3. The disturbing fate of the iconic Stalag 13 set after the series ended. After the series ended in 1971, the Stalag 13 set remained standing until 1974, when it was destroyed while filming the final scenes of Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS. This exploitation film marked a shocking and disturbing end for the beloved set. Stalag 13 was an outdoor film set built in 1964, near the northwest corner of RKO 40 Acres in Culver City. In 1974, Stalag 13 became the outdoor location in Ilsa, she-wolf of the SS. Set demolition began while that movie was photographed. By summer 1974, all traces of the camp were gone, and a new set was erected for the fortune. The film that destroyed Stalag 13 was a notorious sexploitation horror movie about a sadistic female Nazi commandant conducting medical experiments on prisoners. The contrast could not have been starker. The same barracks where Hogan plotted comedic schemes and Schultz bumbled through inspections became the backdrop for graphic violence and torture scenes. Fans who cherished Stalag 13 as a place of clever humor and unlikely heroism would have been horrified to learn their familiar guard towers and compound were reduced to rubble while filming one of exploitation cinema's most controversial entries. The innocent set met an undignified end. Fact number 2. The groundbreaking civil rights recognition that stunned Hollywood in 1967. The producers of Hogan's Heroes were honored in the first annual NAACP Image Awards, presented in August 1967, one of 7 television shows, and 2 news shows recognized for the furtherance of the Negro image. Other honorees included I Spy, Daktari, Star Trek, and Mission Impossible. The awards ceremony was conceived by Tony Vaz during an April 1967 NAACP branch meeting in Beverly Hills. Vaz reached out to black leaders such as Sammy Davis Jr., who hosted the first meeting of the NAACP Beverly Hills Hollywood branch in his home, Sidney Poitier, and Ivan Dixon, an actor on Hogan's Heroes at the time. The recognition was remarkable, given the show's setting and subject matter. A comedy about Nazi POW camps being honored for advancing positive images of black Americans seemed paradoxical. But the NAACP recognized something important. Casting Dixon, or any African American actor, as a positively shown supporting character was a major step for a television show in the mid-1960s. Kinch was portrayed as intelligent, essential, and equal to white characters. The award acknowledged that Hogan's Heroes was quietly breaking barriers. Fact number 1. The heartbreaking reason Hogan's Heroes ended without saying goodbye. The last episode aired on April 4th, 1971, but could have been any particular episode from that final season. A 7th season had been expected, and so the show's cancellation came as something of a surprise. No official finale episode was shot or aired, so the fates of the main characters were never resolved. The final episode that aired was titled Rockets or Romance. The episode's basic plot had been used 11 times before. Most likely, no one at either the network level or from the team at Bing Crosby Productions gave much thought to whether Rockets or Romance would be the best way to bid farewell to Hogan's Heroes. The show unfortunately was cancelled with little notice, while on hiatus from filming between seasons. CBS executives felt the network lineup had become too ruralized and wanted to revamp their offerings to appeal to a more urban crowd. The episode ends exactly the same as all the other shows. Not even a hint that this could be the very last airing, as it fades to black in the usual fashion. Fans never saw liberation, never witnessed Hogan finally escape, and never learned what happened to their beloved characters after 6 years together.